Jagged Jam Masters. One of the Beatles' most famous songs, my favorite, is Let It Be. And we all think that we know what that means, but we probably don't. Let's walk it through. Sometimes the way to understand something is to understand its opposite. Then you know what it's not. Okay? What is standing still? Not moving. I've defined standing still better than just saying stand still. Okay? The opposite of letting it be is not letting it be. What does that mean? Trying to change it. Trying to resist it. Trying to push it away. Trying to make it not happen. That's the opposite of letting it be. Don't let it be. I don't like what you said. I'm not going to accept it. You're not to talk to me that way. You're not to say that. You're in big trouble. Blah, blah, blah. What kind of big trouble? That depends on your culture. Depends on how serious you are about it. It could be just yelling. Could be asleep on the couch for a while. Could be a gun. The point is, I don't accept that it happened. I am not going to let it be. It's not to have happened. I like that one the most. I mean, it's one thing to say it's not going to happen again. It's another thing to say, I cannot accept that you did that. That's so beautiful. You got a psychological ailment. Why? Because you're not going to change it. No one has ever made not happen what has happened, ever in the history of the universe. If it happened, it happened. You can worry about next time, whatever you want, but you cannot change that it happened. You better let that be, that it happened. All right. And a lot of times you don't do that. You don't let it be. No, that is not happening on my watch. That didn't happen. I refuse to accept that that happened. That's not letting it be. You've done that, haven't you? Come on, all right? You have said words like that. You have behaved like that. That's insane. Why? Because it happened, and it's never going to not have happened, ever. So your first step in letting it be is not going that far. I'm going to do slices all the way in. Don't go as far as saying, I refuse to accept that you did that. I refuse to accept that this is going on, whether it be personal, politics, or anything going on. I refuse to accept that that happened. Well, you're in trouble. What happens if you refuse to accept that something happened that will never, ever not have happened? You suffer. Why? Because the event that happened, you did not experience the physicality of that event. Whether it be a word, whether it be an act, whatever it is. It didn't come into you. I didn't go in there, right? I'm out here. I stayed out here. It all stays out here. Does it not? Well, how does it get in there? I've discussed this with you time and again. We astroscientists. I don't understand. The atoms are out there. Do the atoms get in there? Is it the atoms that are bothering you? They're not in there. So what's going on? Very simple. What's happening is, from the sense of all of the senses, but we'll take light, that's the easiest. Seeing is the easiest, all right? I am not seeing you. Okay, you learn this in 5th grade science. I am not looking at you. That is not what's happening. Ask any scientist. I am not looking out through my eyes and seeing you. What is happening is light that is in the room is bouncing off of your molecules that make up your body and that make up that piece of wood and that make up every single thing that's in here. The light that's emanating from a source, doesn't matter the source, the sun, a light bulb, it doesn't matter, is bouncing off of objects. Does it bounce off all objects? No, it makes it right through the air. Why? Because the air is not bound together tight enough to reflect the light. The light goes right through it. But it doesn't go right through your hand, your bracelet, your button. They reflect. Light bounces off of it. So what? That's what you're looking at. That comes in, and you, by the way, you don't look out to see that. It hits your optical sensory system, your eyes. That's what it is, an optical sensory system. It stimulates your optical receptors, and it stimulates the optical nerve. And those impulses that were caused by the light hitting your optical sensors, those impulses get sent back through the nervous system. The neurons pass from one to the other, and they make an impression on the brain. That's where they stop. Yoga doesn't stop there. Yoga knows more than that, and you do too. All right? You have to deal with your own experience. You're not looking at your brain. Well, look at the brain, take a picture of it. That's not what you're looking at. When those impulses hit the central nervous system of your brain, the cluster of neurons, all that stuff, it's picked up by a higher vibration. Just like light is a higher vibration than physical, it's picked up by this higher vibration rate called mind. And it creates the image that's out there that the light made in your mind. And you are looking at that image in your mind. I know it's difficult to understand. It seems like you're looking out here. There's depth perception. Your mind is creating that. Why? Check with someone who lost their depth perception. They're walking into walls. Everything's the same. No, the mind is not creating out of the information it received the illusion or the concept of depth. Color is the same. There is no color out here. No, it does not have color. Only one thing in your world has color: light. Roy G. Biv. Hold a prism up to the light. You will see the colors of the light spectrum. It is light vibrating at different rates that your eye picks up as colors. The thing doesn't have colors. It just reflects different wavelengths of light. That's all that's happening. So your white shirt versus your green thing versus your hair versus the pole, they're just reflecting the molecules, which particular molecules they are, atoms they are, and how tightly they're bound together will reflect different parts of the light spectrum. How do we know that? Have you ever seen infrared? Have you ever seen black light? Looks different, doesn't it? We hippies, we know about that. The posters reflected, they look totally different with the lights on and lights off. No, light is on. It's just a different wavelength of light. And therefore, that's the wavelength that it's reflecting back. But it doesn't all reflect back the same. There's still differences. It just depends on the atoms, and you go study physics. Oxygen reflects blue, and it's just how tightly they're bound. They will reflect different parts of the wavelength of light. What's neat is you live in a world that when you walk into Lowe's or Home Depot to buy a light bulb, you better be a physicist. It used to be, I want a 60 watt, 100 watt. No, now I want a 60 watt in a 2000K spectrum. Come on, you bought them, cool white. They literally give you the numbers. If it's 4,500K, it's a certain color that's emanating. If it's 6,000K, it's more like daylight, that kind of stuff. If it's 2,500, it's soft white. They literally give you numbers. Those numbers are literally the vibration rate of the light spectrum. Nobody used to know anything about that. Okay, you have to study it. You got it in your store. You buy those things. Pretty neat, isn't it? That's what's going on. Light is everything, like the yogi said it was. And light is bouncing off the atoms, and you're receiving in your eyes, and it's sending it back to your nervous system, and then it's rendering in your mind. Now, that's a word that maybe you should be familiar with. Why? Because you deal with it every single day of your lives. Do any of you have a flat screen TV? Ever get up real close? Real close, like right up against that screen. What does it look like? Dots. It does not look like a movie, does not look like a person. It looks like dots. They're called pixels, right? And there they are. Depends on how. And when you buy your TVs, they tell you it's 4K, it's 8K. What is that? How many pixels per inch or something like that? You're so technological. They're giving you these numbers. They mean something to you. That's unbelievable. But the net result is, where did those pixels come from? Did that screen make the pixels? Does your mind make the outside world? Your mind renders what came in from the outside world. It gets rendered in your mind. In the same way as if there's a ball game going on in California, there's atoms out there. They're playing ball. And light is bouncing off of them. How do I know? Turn off the lights and tell me what you see. The light doesn't bounce off of them. So turn them on and then have a camera, which is equivalent to your eyes. It's optical sensitive. It picks up the light that's bouncing off, just like your eyes do. It picks it up. It turns it into a transmittable thing. Nowadays, it digitizes it. It's kind of neat to know what's going on. What do you mean? It used to be it tried to send the wavelengths, the actual difference in wavelengths that came in through the camera. Now the camera picks it up and says, that's hard to send all that detail across the satellite and back down. It's going to lose all kinds of stuff. So what we're going to do is called digitize it. We're going to take every single wavelength and every single, how strong it is, what color it is, and we're going to turn it into a number. That's what digitizing is. We'll turn it into a number. We just have a digitizing chip that turns it into a number. Then we'll send the numbers. Well, that's real. That's right to set it up. They can even do what's called a checksum. When they get it on the other end, it tells you what they should have added up to. And they see if you got them all, and they send it again. That's how your networks work. So it gets over there. It then gets picked up by your TV, the numbers, and it knows how to de-encode it and turns it into those dots. And that's what you're looking at. That is what your mind is doing. That is what you're looking at inside your mind. You know you're not looking at the ball game in California, but you don't know you're not looking at this. Fair enough? Okay, so that's what's going on. So it gets in here, and that goes for sound and sight, and it even goes for touch. I used to teach, what about touch? Come on, man, it's really there. I'm touching it. You are not touching it. It's not solid. This is not solid. What's happening is the outside of every atom is electrons. Electrons are negative. You know this. You're taught this. Okay? So the electrons that make up my finger and electrons that make up this piece of metal are both circling, all of the atoms are circling negativity. And this is negative. What happens when two negative poles of a magnet push against each other? It feels pretty solid, doesn't it? That is what's happening. There's nothing else happening. And I used to tell the joke. I can't help it. It's very funny, right? Therefore, you've never really touched your girlfriend. She finds you repulsive. But you feel it because your nervous system is picking up the resistance of the magnetic fields and sending it back. And your brain says, oh, it's solid. All right. So your sight, touch, every single thing, that's what it is. Your senses are sensors, just like a computer has sensors. They are sensors, and they're sending the information back, and it is rendering in this high vibration called your mind. And your consciousness is looking at that. So that's the beginning of understanding what it means to be alive, what it means to experience this world. It's very different than what our brains tell us. Okay? They're just, in fact, Einstein once had a quote, which I love it. He said, "The world is in reality an illusion, albeit a very persistent one." It just keeps coming back looking like this. And so eventually, okay, I buy it. Because that's not what's going on. Okay, why did I lay that down in a nice spiritual talk? Because guess what happens? We've now said you're the end user. Who's the end user? That's the self. Who's literally receiving those signals, or at least looking at what rendered in your mind. You're rendering in my mind. Who's looking at that? The same person who looks at your TV, your consciousness, your awareness of being. You're in there. Is it a clean shot from the outside world, reflecting the light, coming in through my sensors, passing up the nervous system? A lot of things could go wrong, right? Passing through my nervous system, hitting my brain, and then rendering into this higher vibration place where I can create thoughts, I can create visions, I can do anything I want in there. I don't need it to come in from outside, do I? You can visualize a boat right now inside. There's a world in your mind that is able to render things. Okay, is it a clean shot that comes all the way in, the light, the impulses, the thing, the digitizing, the de-digitizing, and the rendering? Is that a perfect trail? Not for someone who's colorblind. Does that mean the color's not out there? No, it means the receptors are not picking it up. How about you, who what you're looking at is upsetting you so much because it reminds you of something happened to you 20 years ago? Are you seeing properly? No. It got interfered with as it passed through your mind. It got filtered. It got adjusted. All of a sudden, I can't believe you did that. What did I do? I didn't do anything. My father used to talk to me like that. I told you. That's adorable, right? Somebody standing right next to you. They didn't have that reaction. It didn't look that way to them. It didn't look that way to you 10 minutes ago. And then something happened during those 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, oh, you too? All right, do I need to spell this out? Are you with me? So because this is the reality, that it has to pass through all this and then pass through the mind, whatever already in the mind, your mind's not clean. What if you were watching TV and you're watching a news show? There they are. It's news broadcaster talking, but you want to watch a movie. And the broadcaster stayed on the TV while you're watching your movie. Oh my God. And not just the broadcaster from 5 minutes ago, the one from 2 years ago. It's still on there. And you're trying to watch the stupid movie. That's what's going on in your mind. You understand that? Spirituality is not mystical. It's reality. But you think this is reality. Guess who's right? Your scientists today are your preachers. They're telling you the truth. And the truth shall set you free. If you walked around and realized that's what's going on, you wouldn't be the mess you are. You see somebody says something, you say, well, that's neat. Like how it got distorted when it came in. Or they say something, oh, look, I taught you this once, all right? Let's say someone's sitting there yelling, dissing you. I mean, they're dissing you, man. They're saying the dirtiest, crazy stuff about you. Oh, my God, right? And what you're doing is sitting back there and noticing that the sound waves are passing out of their larynx, out of their mouth. These sound waves are passing out of the mouth, and they're hitting your eardrum, and they're making the eardrum vibrate, and then the hammer and the anvil bones vibrate, and they hit the nerve, right, the auditory nervous system, and it goes back, and you can actually hear the sound that they're making out of their mouth. What difference does it make what the sound is? It's amazing that it does that, is it not? I told you want to feel free all the time? Make believe not make believe. Not true, by the way. All right, there's a little dial in there. You have to find it. Yogis find it. And it's one of those language dials like we have now on the computers, right? Which language you want to talk. Turn it to a language you don't know, Swahili, okay? And have them dish you. It's fun. They're not going to bother you one iota, okay? So it's basically you that's doing it. Otherwise, it's just sound coming in. Okay, well, thank you. And go about your business. But you can't do that. Why? Because, all right, now let's say, what distortion, and I'll call it distortion, do you have going on in your mind that makes it so that when the world reality comes in through these impulses, all vibrations, comes in and you experience it, you're not actually experiencing what's going on out there. You're experiencing your version, your interpretation of what's going on out there because you already have stuff in here. How did you get stuff in there? I told you. Stuff happened in your past, check. Okay? And some of it, when it came in, didn't feel good. What does that mean? It's real. Everything has its, as Buddhist, everything has its nature. A rattlesnake rattling in front of you, believe it or not, when it comes in, does not feel the same as a butterfly flapping around you. Does it? That's not a learned experience. That's part of nature. Everything gives off a vibration. So what came in wasn't just a physical object or the sight or sound. You got vibes, eh? You got good vibes and bad vibes. You ever walk into a place that's got bad vibes? You feel comfortable there? You don't even know why? And then you found out there was a murder in there last or something like that, right? Or ever walk into a room where people are arguing and they didn't know you were there and they go, oh, hi. Yes or no? You feel the vibes. So there's stuff coming off out here that's more than just the physical plane. More than just the wavelets of sound and sight, et cetera, right? They're energy. Every one of you know that you feel vibrations. You don't have to be psychic. You feel them, okay? Right. So you're picking that up also. So it comes in. So some things, when they come in, the vibrations are uncomfortable. And that's just the reality. You stand outside when a lion's jumping at you. Oh, it's just atoms. Yeah, maybe just atoms. But there's just some vibes coming off that stuff, all right? So that comes in also. And you in there, just like, let's say you're not into horror movies, and you're surfing through channels, and all of a sudden, Freddie from whatever her name is, Freddie from Elm Street is chopping somebody up, all right? Ew, it freaks you out. You can't even enjoy TV for the next night. You follow me? The vibes come in, and you're not comfortable with them. Who you? You in there. It's okay. It's a vibration. It's real. You do experience it. If you didn't experience it, it wouldn't be a problem. But the self is experiencing. Your consciousness is experiencing it. Fine. So this is where the most important part of spirituality, the most important, comes in. What do you do when it's not comfortable? Remember I was talking about let it be? So outside, when it's not comfortable, you push it away. Don't you? You protect yourself. Somebody charging at you, you protect yourself. Somebody's saying something you don't like, you walk away. Whatever it is, you do what you can do to push it away so it doesn't come in and bother you. Now, what you do is your business, but you do that. Even if you're a New Age doobie and somebody's dissing you, and you sit there and say, I can accept that you talk to me that way. I just want you to know I think you're the most beautiful person I walked the face of the earth. What are you doing? Trying to manipulate the person if they stop talking to you that way. You're just doing it nicely, all right? And so basically, you do it outside that way. But what if it comes in? You do the same thing inside. First, you try to make sure it doesn't come in. You try to make sure it's not going to happen. You manipulate, control, do everything you can to not have things happen outside that you don't want coming in. And it's very specific. So next you don't have any problem with it, but you don't know. So you do that. What if it does come in? I'm telling you, and this is where it gets down to real yoga. What you do when it comes in instinctually is try to do the same thing inside with the energy, because the atoms didn't come in. You try to push the atoms away. Don't say that. I told you not to say it. Don't say that. Okay, I won't say it. Good, thank you. All right? You're trying to manipulate the outside so it doesn't get the vibes that come in that you don't like. What if they do come in? I'm telling you, your instinctual reaction is to push them away inside. Suppression, repression, denial. Freud was right. That's very spiritual understanding. They didn't used to understand that stuff. They didn't know what was going on, why people behave the way they do. He sat there and said that in the past, you have pushed away what happened. You can't push away outside because it already happened. But you don't have to let it come all the way in inside. And you do it all the time. You do it every day of your life. You do this. You don't only do it with what comes in, you do it with your thoughts. You can have a thought that's not comfortable and you push it away. That's suppression, repression. In other words, what is suppression? I don't want to experience this. Who? Yes, I know it happened outside 20 years ago, but I don't want it to have happened, and I don't accept that it happened, and I don't even want to think about it. You're so cute. Okay? So I'm going to push it away. Where does it go when you push it away? He gave it a name. It goes into the subconscious. All I care about is it doesn't come in all the way. Listen to me. Have you ever had anything come in all the way? Just slow down before you answer. What does that mean? It came in through your senses. It rendered up your nervous system, into your brain, came into your mind, and now you're experiencing it. You experience it from inside, and you didn't touch it. It just came all the way in and melted into your being. You said, oh my God, it touched me to the depth of my being. It was so beautiful. I felt like I was in the presence of God. Have you ever had such an experience? Not very often, but you have had that experience. Maybe you have it in intimate moments. Maybe you have it with a sunset. Maybe you have it because you won the lottery. The point is, you did not resist, you in there, the indwelling being, the self, the consciousness, did not resist the vibration that came in one iota. So what did it do? It came all the way in and touched you. It didn't touch your mind. You had to make it through your nervous system, through the body, through the mind. And it made it not just through there, it made it through you, all the way back in. Whoa. Okay? That's what happens if you truly let it be. Notice how far it had to come in. Notice how many places in between it could have got blocked. It could have got interfered with. So there is this state of be here now. That's what be here now means. You're just experiencing the now. It's touching the depth of your being, everything. You're totally open. There's no resistance. There's just the experience of the rawness of life coming in and touching your being. That's where enlightened being is. Everything comes in and touches to the depth of their being. They're not resisting anything. Ramakrishna, they took him to the park once, and he was so sensitive, he was so open, that he started squirming and almost crying. And they said, what's wrong, Master? He said, I feel the vibration of the blades of grass being crushed under people's feet when they walk. And he didn't resist it one iota. He was willing to be that. See what I'm saying? It's not like if you're that, you're really happy, right? If you're that, you're always full. You're always real. You're just, everything comes in. All right. So that's what it means truly to let it be.